Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Family just moved into an apartment that we would later find out no one had stayed more than a few months. In the first few weeks, we heard knocking on the walls, someone walking around in the kitchen, and whispering coming from the apartments next to us and above us. The whispering we figured was from the neighbors, but half the time there was no one there. Anyway, so Saturday morning, my brothers and I wake up early. It's around 9, and the cartoon we are watching cuts to commercials. The screen goes black for a second or two before the commercials start. In the reflection, we see a woman standing at the entrance of the kitchen, wearing a black dress with a veil. Nope. We all turn around, and no one is there. We look at each other confused, not knowing what that was. Of course, that was the first of several things that happened to all of us while we lived there. Another story. This time my oldest brother told me this a week after the first incident. Wake up at 3 in the morning. Gotta go to the bathroom. Get up and quietly open the door because it squeaks like all hell. Walk into the hallway and see a light coming from the living room, and it flickers like a candle. Meh, someone forgot to blow it out before going to bed. Wait, we haven't bought any candles. Walks into the living room because he's a little special. Looks at the table where the light is coming from. What the fuck? Looks like the fire of a candle flickering, but there is no candle underneath it. Stares at it and walks closer. As soon as he comes up to the table, a little girl wearing a white dress walks out from the other side of the table. Looks up and doesn't know where she came from. She starts walking around the table. As soon as she is like 2 feet away, the light goes out. My brother freaks out and runs back into the room and decides to wait till morning. Nothing really ever bad happened to us while there, but there was a lot of activity. My mom told us a story after we moved out. Not too spooky, but it's weird. She is cooking dinner and in the kitchen cutting vegetables. Puts the knife down and turns to get something from a cabinet behind her. Turns back and the knife is no longer on the counter. Looks around looking for it and no luck. As she's standing there, she hears a bang on the counter. Turns around and sees the knife on the counter in a completely different position than she left it. She hated that kitchen afterwards. I have 2 more if anyone else is actually interested in my stories. My dad used to wake up around 4:30 in the morning to go to work. Usually my mom would fix him lunch and breakfast the night before, so he could just grab it and go, so he was usually the only one up. Be him and wake up to go shower. Walk into the hallway and hear the sound of footsteps in the living room. Thinks someone has broken into the apartment. Walks into the living room and doesn't see anything. Starts to walk back into the hallway when he hears the steps again. He turns around and sees a floating head. It's walking right past him. It turns to look at him but walks towards the hallway. Thinks he's seeing things, but it keeps going towards the hallway and doesn't disappear. He finally starts to follow it, and it just dissipates as soon as it gets to the hallway. This is the last story I have about that apartment. That is worth mentioning, but other smaller stuff happened. A year after we had moved in, things had calmed down. Okay, it's cool now. I walked into the kitchen to get a can of Pepsi. We had a really narrow kitchen, and the fridge was up against the wall on the other end of the kitchen. Open the fridge and get a can. I close it and turn to walk out. As soon as I turn, I see the woman in the black dress with the veil over her face. The dress looks old, and I want to say from the early 1900s or late 1800s. I can't see her face, and she's not moving. I get chills up and down my spine. She's about 4 feet away from me, and she starts to lift her hand. I honestly think something bad is going to happen. She starts pointing to the ground under where she's standing. She keeps pointing down, and I look down to where she's pointing. As soon as I look up, she's gone. I ran out of the kitchen like a bat out of hell. I never figured out why she was pointing at the floor, but it's always bothered me. Over the next year, my brother would see the girl out of the corner of his eye whenever he was alone. My dad would hear footsteps. We all heard whispering randomly a few times a week. I saw what looked like a black cat walk into a wall in the living room and just turn to smoke as it hit the wall. No one else saw that but me, though. The lady in the black dress showed up one more time, but again in the kitchen. She never left it. When we moved out, we found out we had lived there the longest than anyone else before us. 2 years compared to a few months.
Be a freshman in college. Move into a home-style apartment with my girlfriend. Bring my big Rhodesian Ridgeback with me, 'cause she loves him and dogs in general. Be one night. Watching TV on the couch with her and the dog. She goes to bed before me, and I'm just chilling with the big-ass dog. Pass out. Wake up because the dog is barking out the window with his head poking through the curtain. Get up and look out the window to see what's up. Open the curtain and see someone standing in the street, light across the street, with one of those plain white mannequin masks on. Oh, fuck no .jpg. Muster up the balls to open the door to investigate and call out to the person. Open the door. Don't get on the floor. No one does the dinosaur. Because the guy managed to go from across the street to outside my front porch, a distance of about 100 feet in less than 10 seconds. Slam the door closed. Lock everything. Girlfriend comes out a couple of minutes later asking why I slammed the door. Say there is someone outside who might be trying to get in. Look back out the window, expecting him to be right outside the window. No trace of the guy. Still have no clue what to think about that to this day. My girlfriend thinks I'm crazy and doesn't believe any of this happened.
Okay, here's my story. Driving down an empty highway at 3 a.m. 'cause me and my parents are driving to Florida. My dad is driving in front of me. I'm following at a safe distance. We get to a part of the highway that has no lights, no other cars, just us. Start getting kinda antsy, getting really close to my dad's car. Suddenly, fog. Back off 'cause I don't want to hit him. The fog gets thicker. Turn on my high beams and fog lights. My dad's car is gone. I can't see his brake lights. I'm alone. Too weird. My dad isn't a fast driver in this weather, or any weather for that matter. I see a figure like a person standing in the left lane. Getting weirder. Start seeing people standing on the shoulder. I'm trying to ignore them. Going faster now. 100 miles per hour. Loud bang. Almost shit myself. The car's rear end swings out and I spin out on the highway. Come to a dead stop. I don't even know how I didn't bury it into a ditch. I see the people again. All of them are walking towards me. Nope. Handbrake turn and floor it again. After that, the fog disappeared, and I found my dad parked at a rest stop waiting for me. I asked him about the fog, and he says there was no fog. I got into an argument, and he said we should wait until I wasn't tired anymore. Creepy as shit, though. I always take another road when we go to Florida because of that. Also, I found no damage that could have caused me to spin out.
I've read quite a few, so I'll post one of my own out of decency. It's usually hard to pick just one. I'm sort of a hot spot for this shit. If it sounds like I'm bragging, I assure you I'm not. This shit was always terrifying. Hanging out with my best friend in a room adjacent to the garage. It's summertime with no AC. The room has shit ventilation, so we keep the door open. Bright-ass halogen light illuminating the whole garage. Small lull in the conversation, and the 7-inch or so slit we kept in the door to get fresh air in is partially blocked, as if someone passed by it. There was still light above and below it, so it wasn't the light going out. It was moving in the direction away from the open garage door, and no sound was made. No time to escape either, as I hopped up and rushed the door to see if anyone was there. Empty garage. To make matters worse, after this little episode, we built up the stone to hop out to 7-Eleven to pick up some soda. Walking back, we get near the neighborhood. The smell of sulfur and rotting meat starts to waft in. I immediately attempt to brush it off since they do live near a river. I usually attempt some type of rational explanation first. I notice there is no wind, however, and the smell keeps getting stronger. It gets so strong I start to gag and nearly vomit. I have to wear my sweatshirt and shirt over my face to block it out, and it barely works at all. Suddenly, my friend drops his soda and books it, so I follow him all the way back. As we get into the garage, the suddenly oppressive smell lifts completely as if it was never there, and we can breathe properly again. Friend says he thought he saw a bunch of silhouette-looking people walking in between the houses that didn't have much streetlight illumination. Nope, out for about 20 minutes, but decide to go get soda. The smell is completely gone. The soda is where we left it. This was all at like 2 in the morning or so and was horribly freaky. Another for the hell of it. Home alone in my younger days. Summer break at my dad's place playing some serious WoW while he's at work. Go out to the kitchen to fill up my big glass with Mountain Dew because I was a soda junkie. I take out 2 cans fresh from the fridge and immediately pour them into the plastic glass, and I set the empties on the counter. Suddenly, one of them catches my attention in a weird way. I can't explain it. It just caught my focus. The can begins to vibrate and practically crawl in a zigzag pattern until it falls off the counter. No condensation to move it. The other can right next to it didn't move, so it didn't catch some weird vibrational frequency. Took like 5 seconds for it to cross the counter, go over the counter lip and hit the floor. I noped to my room and shut the door. I didn't come back out until my dad came home. I came at that with every rational explanation I could think of. I even sat down and researched into what might have happened, and just nothing fits other than something supernatural. Really weird.
When I used to live in Colorado, when I was 17, my mom got me an ATV, quad, to go exploring and shit with my friends. My friend lives on 10 acres between towns. One night we decide to camp out a mile away from his house. We have our rifles and a revolver in case of big scary animal. Stay up all night playing Pokemon and texting girls and stuff. Around 4 a.m. getting light out. He asks me if I want to see a crashed UFO. No fucking way. We ride our ATVs a few miles to the south. Reach the edge of his property, bordered by a dilapidated barbed wire fence. Leave the ATVs there and walk about another mile. Trees are getting dense. Come to a clearing with a sheer cliff drop, probably 10-foot drop into a ravine. See a large metallic hulk covered in moss and foliage. We both slide down to get a closer look. As we get closer, within about 5 feet, I get an insane headache. My ears start ringing and my vision blurs. Move my hands from my ears. Blood. Start to hear loud breathing. I've been to dozens of concerts, and this combination of ringing and breathing was 1,000 times louder than any concert. We bolted back to his property after trying to climb the slope for 5 minutes. The ringing stops once we get about a mile away, decide to go back a few months later. The UFO is gone. Upturned soil where it was.
This is a story from back in my childhood that involves me, my mom, and my father. All of us dealt with this shit for a few weeks. Be in preschool, live in the apartment on top of the bar owned by Mamita and Papito. aka my grandparents from my father's side. They go and win the lottery, so they fly off to Puerto Rico to go build their dream mansion. This leaves my parents in charge of the bar now. My grandparents left my parents money to cover anything that could possibly happen while they are away. So my parents decide to remodel the bar for them, because we were practically living in the apartment for free. They hire a bunch of people to help out with their mission to improve the bar, but are suspicious of some of the people coming in and out of the place because they find a baggie of heroin tossed behind the toilet that wasn't there the day before. In the bar, my grandparents kept a statue of an angel beside a giant jar of pennies, with an unlit candle as well. All of this stuff was elevated on a cabinet like a shrine, and my parents decide the money isn't safe there during reconstruction. My parents managed to relocate the jar of pennies into our apartment, despite its massive weight. They really did not want it to get stolen and be blamed for it because of the surprise they had in mind. But then all of this weird crap starts to occur. My dad starts to hear someone screaming his name in his ear in the dead of night, and it happens on repeat. The apartment gets super cold even though it's only September. We were too broke to afford to even run air conditioning at the time. The front door that opens to the stairs that go up to my apartment starts to slam open on its own, even though it was a solid wooden door and was closed and locked. I start to experience violent tantrums where I would throw myself off the stairs backwards, apparently. But my mom insists to this day that it looked like someone was shoving me off the stairs as I screamed bloody murder. This is where my parents decide they need to call my grandparents in Puerto Rico, because they are terrified at this point that we were going to get hurt. When my grandparents are told about the jar being moved, they freak the hell out and tell my parents that they need to put the pennies back and light the candle and all will be fine. So my parents do what they are told, and suddenly the cold air warms up and everything feels normal at last. Years pass by and my mom and dad split up. One day, when me and my dad are hanging out, I ask why all that weird stuff happened. He doesn't have an exact explanation, but he tells me about the religion my grandparents practice called Santeria. They are Roman Catholic as a whole, but Santeria incorporates a lot of stuff that people look upon as being witchcraft in Puerto Rico and all throughout other parts of the Caribbean. It was probably a shrine dedicated to one of the orishas or saints, I think, of the religion. They had another shrine where they would place a piece of cake every year for a boy who was hit by a car outside of the bar. I don't know much about Santeria, so if anyone does and has a theory of what could be up, that would be cool.
Be me, a photographer, checking out an abandoned warehouse alone. Yellow water nuclear weapons storage facility, long defunct, gone before with friends. Killing time waiting for twilight. Decide to steal an old school freestanding water fountain I spotted last time. No windows, pitch black aside from my flashlight. Back room. Can't be further from the exit. Start loudly dragging the fountain across the floor. Pause for a moment. Realize I hear breathing. Middle of the woods. Alone. No other cars parked around the building. Nope, 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 nope. Adrenaline starts pumping. Use newfound strength to lift the water fountain over my head. Dash to the exit. Can't really hold the flashlight, so almost blind. Throw it in the car. Drive away. Fuck pictures. Why I still took the fountain, I honestly can't say. I think partly because I really wanted it, and partly because I figured I could try chucking it at whatever was out there like fucking WrestleMania.
My mum used to be this warm, caring person that people enjoyed being around. Since we moved into the house we live in now, about 20 years ago, She's turned into a Karen. Not even the usual kind of Karen either. The moody, demi-psychotic kind that snaps and starts screaming and yelling and flailing about because you disagree with her over something that doesn't even matter. Like the fact that the earthquakes in Haiti a while back reminded her that her teachers in high school taught her that that's where HIV and AIDS come from. She went from regular person to screaming and yelling and slamming her fists against the table in a split second because I said, "That doesn't sound right. I'm gonna go look that up later, after I get through eating." The house isn't especially old to my knowledge. My dad, while going through it while they were viewing it, found divorce paperwork on top of the cabinets, and there was a person-sized hole in one wall that went through to the half bathroom in my bedroom. It looked like someone had been pushed or knocked over and had fallen, ass and back first, through it. Nothing weird other than that. Oh, and the old man I see sometimes. Weird dreams involving a face that's pale, grey and blue-toned, drawn, and looks like it belongs to a 70-year-old bald man. Only happened about once or twice, but he's always pissed off, screaming and yelling and gnashing his teeth. I can never hear what he's saying though, so it just sounds like the ringing noise you get when there's no sound at all. I remember the first time it happened. I woke up in a cold sweat, and there was a figure in the door of my room. Kinda like there wasn't anything there, just a shape defined by the lack of anything inside it, including light. For some reason I think it was him, and I know it's looking at me. I just glare for a minute before sitting up, stark naked, and telling it to get out of my house, in as pissed off a voice as I can muster at 4 in the morning. Being 6'2" and about 250 pounds helps a bit, even if I'm more dumpy than defined. And as soon as I'm done talking, it stops looking at me and sort of evaporates backward into the hallway and vanishes. I don't even see it move down the hallway. I get up after a minute, pull on my pants, and make a round of the house, checking even the rooms that are closed. I felt like something was watching me in the spare bedroom or storage room, so I just stood there until it passed and didn't leave until it did. The next time I saw his face in a dream, he just stared at me. There wasn't anything in my room when I woke up that time, and there hasn't been anything since then, except my mom slowly spiraling into insanity. It did affect my dad, but when they divorced and he had to move out, he started getting better. He feels crazy, but he's actually pretty damn stable for someone not so slowly losing his vision, who got thrown out of his own house and forced to go and live with his parents because he got the short end of the genetic lottery and one of his retinas detached. And that's it, really. Nothing more to say on the subject. People go crazy, right? Maybe it's nothing more paranormal than a 17-year-old having weird dreams and facing down the last gasps of the night terrors that followed him from the time he was very small.
Pretty lame compared to the others here, but whatever. Working a new retail job, my first closing shift around 10 p.m. In the office with the manager, doing the till and such. The office is one of those ones that isn't an actual separate room. Just a high-walled cubicle with a door and a one-way mirror. Suddenly hear a loud bang outside on the floor. We have freezer doors in back that pop open and closed when the motors turn on, but this was way louder. The manager and I look at each other, so I know it wasn't just me who heard it. She starts to talk, and we both hear it again. Sounds like someone hitting a shelf. We both look at the screen with the security displays. but it only shows 5 at a time even though we have upwards of 20 cameras. Of course, there's nothing there. Hear it again, much closer, and something definitely fell off of one of the shelves this time. Manager says, "I thought you said there was no one here before you locked the doors?" I tell her there wasn't. Anyway, manager's getting pissed, saying there must be someone in the store and I missed them. Banging starts again, pretty close to the front where the office is. Look out the one-way window. Nothing there, of course. No more banging for the moment. We settle down and finish up the tills. She tells me to go in the back room and get my shit so we can leave. I leave with a box cutter in one hand and mace in the other, just in case it's not a ghost. Do a quick check of the aisles. Nothing is knocked over. There's no sign of anyone anywhere. Get my shit from the break room that's really just a corner of the loading dock. About halfway back to the office when the banging starts again, on the far left of the store. Book it back to the office. Manager lets me in. She's starting to get freaked out too, so I clock out and we get out of there. She told me later that she did a pretty thorough check of the store when she opened the next day. Nothing was knocked over or damaged, and every outside door was locked. We either have ghosts or a very stealthy stowaway.
Be young me, home alone for a weekend. Vidya, TV, and pizza all day. Shortly before midnight, the phone rings. Don't answer, 'cause too lazy to get up and walk downstairs. Probably a prank call anyway. 12:30 a.m. Hear noises in front of the door. Ignore them since there is a taxi pickup sign right in front of our house. Suddenly, the doorbell rings. Hell no. I'm not answering this either. A thunderstorm of doorbell ringing. Check out from the window where I can see right above the door, but not the door itself. A white van with running motor right in front of my door. Not on the street, but literally right in front of the stoop. Side door opened. Shit, what? Grab an empty glass bottle 'cause it's the only thing to be used as a weapon. In my reach. Check the front door from upstairs. I can see a black figure going ape shit in front of the door, banging against it and ringing simultaneously. Torn between this being serious or my older brother and his friends pulling a prank. In case of prank, I don't want to be a punk. Get downstairs slowly. About halfway, the person in front of the door leaves. Van still there. Too scared to peek through a window to check for the driver or additional persons. Loud noise from the backyard. Shit.jpg. I am now on ground level. The backyard is only secured by a flimsy wood door from the side of the house. Rattling intensifies. This is not a prank.av. Rush to the guest room and sit shit out. Bottle ready to hit the first person that enters the room. Nothing happens after a last loud cracking noise. Hear the van drive away a few moments later, but stay in the room until sunrise. Check out the backyard. The back door was kicked in. Lock broken. Nothing is missing. I assume burglars either got disturbed or figured it would have taken them too long. It didn't help that I watched Funny Games a few days prior.
Only thing I've got right now is a second-hand note from my dad, from when he was in high school, about 45 years ago. Basically, a few of the girls at his high school got a hold of a Ouija board and started doing their thing, but wanted him there because big, strong dude to protect them from whatever showed up. They're about a half an hour into it, asking questions, getting answers, laughing about how it's obviously other people in the group doing the pushing of the planchette. The entire time, my dad's refused to touch it because he's a hardline Baptist, and Ouija boards don't sit well with him. The girls start laughing again, and there's an extra voice laughing, and the girls think it's my dad. and my dad's just standing there wide-eyed, shaking his head. Everyone stares at him, and then the voice starts laughing again, deep, cold, and threatening. Cue everyone getting the absolute hell out of Dodge. Then one of the girls realizes that they left the board. No one wants to go get it, but someone, not my dad, one of the girls, finally does, and she comes out white as a sheet because there was a big, four-fingered claw mark on the wall, the cinder block wall, behind where she'd been sitting. According to what was said later, the claws were about 6 inches apart, and the whole thing was maybe 4 or 5 feet long. A couple years later, that whole building got demolished in a freak tornado that touched down for only a few minutes, just long enough to wreck that building before it dissipated.
Be at home late one night. Lots of cats in the house. Mom's a crazy old cat lady, and I'm house sitting. 7 of them. One cat's an asshole. Only comes in through the window, only goes out through the door. Hear creaking noise at the window, like there's a cat hanging off of the frame. Open the window. All the other cats hiss as he clambers in and makes his way up front. Looks like he's been in a fight. Wet too. Must be raining. Go to follow him up to feed him, because I haven't seen hide nor hair of him all day. Hear creaking at the window. Stop cold, staring at the cat in front of me, who has also stopped. Head count. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Creaking noise makes 8. Realize that this house has a tin roof. I'd know from the sound if it was raining. Step back from the window. Look back at where the cat should be. Puddle of water. Nope. Also has blood in it. Nope, nope, nope. Weird-shaped footprints. Pads are pushed towards the outside. Claws arranged like human toes. There's an extra toe on the inside, like the dew claw was playing the role of the thumb. Creaking at the window again. Actually mutter the word nope. Carefully open the window. Cat jumps in. Looks like he got in on the wrong end of a fight. The other cats don't hiss at him. One starts cleaning him. He's damp in spots, like he was fighting something that was sopping wet. Creaking noise again, accompanied by a strange, non-cat-like roaring, hissing groan. Not Cat's face is pressed right flat to the window. The window is not completely shut. Hand paw things scrambling at the windowsill, trying to wedge the window open. Terrified, I try to slam the window. It won't let go of the windowsill. The cat latches onto the not Cat's paw things, ripping them to shreds. Screaming noise makes my ears ring. The other cats start hissing and yowling. It finally lets go. Window gets slammed shut. Concede dinner to the cats and make myself a damn sandwich. Never speak a word of this to anyone.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel, as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.